Hey, it's Coach Justin from Ultimate Baseball Training, and today we're talking about how to stop swinging at bad pitches. Let's jump right into it. So I know that when you're struggling with swinging at bad pitches, it's kind of tough to see the good in that situation, but the good news is at least you're swinging the bat, right? At least you're being aggressive. I think it's a lot easier to try to tame a hitter and get them to kind of, narrow in their focus on their strike zone. It's easier to do that to a hitter who's already aggressive, who's already swinging the bat, who already has that good mentality. It's easier to do that than it is to do the reverse, to take a hitter who's, timid in the batter's box and who's not swinging at anything and try to get him to swing the bat. So that's good news. It's good that you're stepping in the batter's box with an aggressive mentality, ready to hit, because we're not in the box to walk. We're not in the box to see pitches or anything like that. You want to hit the ball hard somewhere. And so it's good that you have that aggressive approach. We just have to obviously narrow it in, narrow your focus a little bit, get you a little bit more strike zone awareness. All right. And so the problem though is swinging at bad pitches. That's the good side of it. The problem is if you start swinging at bad pitches, balls in the dirt, balls that aren't strikes, they're balls, right? You're going to wind up in more, defensive counts. You're going to wind up in more pitchers counts, 1-2 counts, 0-2 counts, things like that. Obviously, we want to be in hitters counts. We want to be in good 3-1 counts, 2-1 counts, things like that, where the pitcher, we're going to see more fastballs, right? And we can do more damage. We don't want to be kind of at his mercy, and we don't want to be up at the plate with our 2-strike, kind of battle approach. We want to be able to be a little bit more selective. And so that's the bad news. You're kind of giving away some of your at-bats if you're constantly swinging at bad pitches. So my advice is you need to step in the batter's box with that good yes, yes, no mentality, all right? But I think the key is you have to have aggressive patience. You got to be aggressive. You got to maintain that good aggressiveness that you're showing right now, but you got to be patient in the fact that, the pitcher, we're going to make him work. He has to throw the baseball over the plate. He has to throw a strike before that aggressiveness shows, before we actually swing at it. We're not, just giving the pitcher our at bat, all right? So that being said, I think the first thing that'll really help you with avoiding swinging at bad pitches is really understanding pitches, understanding how they start and understanding how they finish or how they move, right? That's a good word to sum it up. How do different pitches move? Because not every single pitch is going to be the exact same. So let's take a four-seam fastball, right? Because every single pitcher out there obviously has a fastball. A four-seam fastball is not going to have really any dipping or diving movement, right? It might have a little bit of movement, but traditionally that's going to be the straightest pitch. And so if you recognize out of the pitcher's hand that it's a four-seam fastball, you know that pretty much where that pitch starts is where it's going to finish. So if it starts as a strike, if you're in the batter's box and you know that it's a fastball, right, you go into your load, right, you recognize, oh, that's a four-seam fastball and it looks like a good pitch, it's a strike, well, you can be confident knowing that that pitch is going to pretty much finish as a strike as well. Okay, but on the flip side, let's take a curveball, for example. A curveball is not a straight pitch, so you have to understand how that pitch starts and how that pitch finishes, and each pitcher can be a little bit different. So you can have guys that have more of a 12-6 curveball that has more of a downward action like this, or you can have guys that have more of an action that's, it's breaking down, but it's also breaking sideways. But traditionally with a curveball, you have to understand that the good crushable curveballs, the ones that you really want to hammer, those pitches do not actually start out really as a strike. A lot of the times those pitches are going to start out, they're going to look a little bit up and they're going to look like they're coming almost at your front hip. So for a right-handed hitter, it's going to look like it's coming at your front hip. It's going to be a little high, not like above your head, but a little high. And those pitches, that's how they're going to start, and they're actually going to finish, because for a right-handed pitcher, they're going to break in towards the plate like this. Those are the ones that are going to break for a strike, and so you have to understand those are the ones you're swinging at. But on the flip side, if you recognize it's a curveball, but it starts out low, like borderline strike low, you have to understand that a curveball is going to finish, it's going to break lower than it started. So if it starts low, it's going to break even lower. So obviously those are the ones that you would take. All right, so you just have to have an understanding of, really think about each pitch and understand how it moves, and then try your best to actually get some live at bats, or at least at the very least, try in batting practice. If you don't see curveballs very often in practice, or you're not used to seeing them, but then in games you're seeing a lot of them and you're not getting enough reps with curveballs, just try to get more reps in practice, because the more reps that you do, obviously the easier it's going to get into a game. But you have to understand how pitches move. And that leads us directly into the next tip, which is have your coaches mix it up. And I'm talking about in batting practice, but also, they can do it in soft toss, or if you're doing front toss or whatever, have them mix it up. Because a lot of times in practice, hitters fall into the routine of just swinging at every single pitch, and that transfers into a game, but you only want to swing at good pitches, right? And so, I know a lot of the times coaches, as they especially go throughout the season, right, they get really dialed in, they get really money with their BP. And, a lot of the times they don't want to throw any more pitches than they have to throw, and so they just throw you good pitches, you swing at every pitch, and that's that. But I would encourage you, and you don't have to do it every single practice, but, try to, with either your coach or maybe dad outside of practice or whatever, try to get some reps in where you're not swinging at every single pitch, right? You step in the box, and the majority of pitches, right, should be pitches that you actually swing, because you want to work on your hitting. You don't want to work just on, seeing pitches, right? But you should get into the habit of, some pitches, they should throw it outside, they should throw it low, they should throw it high, right? And so you should get used to having some aggressive takes. And they should also mix up. Every single pitch should not just be a fastball, a straight fastball, right? Because a lot of hitters, they say, man, I'm hitting great in batting practice, but not into a real game. And it's like, well, no duh, right? Batting practice, majority of the time, they're going to be all strikes. They're going to be from 30, 40 feet away, and they're going to be 40 miles an hour. And then in a game, obviously, you're going to see more velocity, and they're not all going to be strikes, and they're not all going to be fastballs. They're going to be moving all over the place. And you're going to see righties and lefties and all sorts of things. And so the more you can mimic that in practice, the better off you'll be. So especially when you're struggling with swinging at bad pitches, try to get some reps in batting practice of, strikes and balls. So you're both swinging at good pitches, but you're also taking the bad pitches. And then also try to not just get fastball after fastball after fastball. Have your coaches mix in some changeups, change speeds a little bit, mix in some breaking balls. That'll really help you out. Another fun thing that you can do is work on different counts in practice as well. And so before you step in the box, have your coach say, okay, fresh count, fresh at bat, right? Or have them say 2-1 count. 3-1 count, hitters count, right? Or have them say, you're down 1-2, you're down 0-2. Whatever the case may be, you can make up a different count, or have your coach or your friend or teammate or whatever the case may be, but work on your situational hitting, because in BP, a lot of times we're not thinking about counts or anything like that. We're just swinging at every single pitch, but it changes when they say, okay, you got a 3-1 count here. Then with a 3-1 count, I'm stepping in and I'm looking for my pitch, right? So if I hit the middle, belt high pitch, middle pitch or belt high, and it's a little bit in, right? If I like that pitch, that's what I'm looking for in the 3-1 count when I step in. But on the flip side, if he tells me, okay, you're down 0-2 or you're down 1-2, well, I'd love to get that belt high middle pitch that I like, right? But it might not be. He might not leave a pitch that's belt high with 2 strikes. So I have to maybe widen my stance out. Maybe I have to make a physical adjustment in the box. Maybe I have to scoot closer to the plate, whatever your routine is with 2 strikes. But then you got to widen the zone. So work on with situations. You hear the situation and then think about, okay, is this a hitter's count? Am I behind in the count? Do I get to be more selective and look for my pitch, or do I have to really open up the zone and kind of battle in here and make something happen and be sure to put the ball in play, right? So situations, working on different counts is going to really help you. And last thing I'll leave you with, I think there's a direct correlation between pitch recognition, recognizing, okay, is this pitch a ball or a strike? First of all, do I want to swing or do I not want to swing? But also, what pitch is actually coming out of the hand? I think there's a direct correlation between that and swinging at bad pitches. So if you're swinging at bad pitches, you're probably not recognizing in the first place what pitch is actually coming out of the hand, right? You're probably swinging at that curveball in the dirt because you didn't recognize it, or you recognized it too late. And so I think all these tips that we talked about are really going to help you. Having your coach mix it up in BP, mixing up, balls and strikes, and also what pitch is actually thrown, that'll really help you out. But when it comes to you're actually stepping in the box in a real game, make sure that you're not stepping in and staring at the pitcher. Make sure, we've talked about this in other videos, make sure you have that soft focus where you're just kind of glancing out in his general direction at first, and then when he goes into his motion, that's when you zero in on his release point, on that window. But don't stare at the pitcher. Your eyes are going to get tired that way. You have to have a soft focus at first, then you have to shift that focus obviously to that window. And then try to minimize your head movement as much as you possibly can too, because in your load, if your head is moving all over the place, if you have a really big load and lots of head movement, well, your eyes are obviously going to move too. So when your eyes are moving back and forth and they're moving up and down, it's going to make it that much harder for you to recognize what pitch is coming and if it's a ball or a strike and if you should swing or not. Okay, so really go from that soft focus to that hard focus, and in your load and your stride, you have to do the best job you possibly can at keeping your head as still as possible. That'll keep your eyes locked in on the baseball. So hopefully you found this video helpful. If you did, subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already, turn your notifications on. And last thing, if you're serious about taking your hitting to the next level, then I would strongly recommend that you watch the free on-demand hitting training I put together for you. It's 100% free. Just click on the link in the first pinned comment down below. That'll take you straight to the page where you can sign up and you can watch the free on-demand hitting training. So go ahead and do that right now. Thank you so much for watching today's video, and I'll see you next time.